Hello everyone, welcome to another lesson. And in this lesson, we will continue with a topic that we just started, which is talking about JavaScript date. We have talked about how date object can be created in JavaScript, and we have seen 9 different ways through which date object can be created in JavaScript by passing parameters by numbers that specify uh, data that you want as an output from your date object, such as passing in the year, the month, the day, the hour, the minute, the second, and the millisecond. So these are some of the things that we've talked about in the previous 2 lessons. And in this lesson, we'll take it a bit further by looking at some things that are very important that you should know when working with JavaScript date object. Now, JavaScript counts months from 0 to 11. In traditional mathematics, counting starts from 1. And, if you want to represent January to December, that would be 1 to 12, which means each number will represent to the corresponding month. But in programming, like we said, that counting starts from 0, which means JavaScript counts months from 0 to 11 and not 1 to 12, like the way we would do in a traditional mathematics environment. So which means that January will be represented by 0 and December, which is the last month, is represented by 11. Now, specifying a month higher than 11 will not result in an error, but add the overflow to the next year. So if maybe you are trying to work with date object, probably you forget, or just for testing purpose or for anything, and you mistakenly specify a month that is higher than 11, which is December represented by 11 in JavaScript, it will not result in an error, but instead it will add that overflow to the next year. So let's say you had a month that is higher in the previous year. Instead of it to throw an error, to just add it as an overflow to the next year after it. And also, specifying a day higher than max will not result in an error, but add the overflow to the next month. The same way is when you add a day that is higher than the max. Most from January to December, we have months that ends on 30 and we have one that ends on 34. So if you now specify a day that is higher than the normal range from 0 to 30 or 0 to 31, let's say you have 35, 40, it also will not result in an error, and it will be treated like the first important thing that I've said. It should be noted about date object. It will instead be added as an overflow to the next month. So let's take a look at this in our code editor to understand how we can actually deal with this in our code. So I want to open my editor, just a second, and I'll just open this with live server so that I can be seeing the output as I'm working on my code. So I'll take this out, and then I will start with the first example. So let's say I have something like this. The date object const date equals new date, and then I passed in a year, I passed in a month, I passed in day, hour, minute, and second. So with this, now let me see what the output of this will be. Now you can see that I am getting the right output here, but take note of something, that because this 15 is greater than 11, which is supposed to represent the last month of 2018, it just shifted it overflow, and it added it to another year. So it counts another month from where 11 ended, and that's 4 months extra after that 11, and that is the April of the following year, and that is why you are seeing April 24, 2019, as you can see right here in the output. And you can as well do it in another way, like I showed us earlier, that you can if you specify a day that is higher than the max. So let's quickly take a look at that to see if you specify something that is higher than the max, to see that it will not result in an error, but instead overflow to the next month. That is for month. We just showed for year. And now let's quickly take a look at what it is like for day. So if I do this, this is month 35, which is higher than either 30 or 31, and also passed in other parameters that is needed this way. Let's see whether something will change. And as you can see that, and as you can see right here, you can see that because I'm passing it at a 5, I am instead getting July as against May, which is the correct thing that I'm passing in my parameter. So this is how it overflows into the next one. So also, aside from this, I quickly want to talk about the parameters that can be passed in into date object. So you will notice that each of these parameters vary. So like what we have here, we currently have 6, which are the 6 parameters that are passing into the date object to get this output, which you can see here. And these 6 numbers, it represents a year, month, day, hour, minute, and second, just as what you can see right now. So if you change this from 6 to 5, it will not give an error, but instead, this will only represent year, month, day, hour, and minute. So which means you've removed seconds. If you change this to 4, it will still work and not throw an error. It's just going to change the output, as you can see here. If this is decreased to 3, still won't give an error, but it will work as well, as you can see. If this is, reduced to 2 this way, this also will work. As you can see, it will not throw an error, but this remains this specified year and the month. Now, one very important thing about this part is that you cannot omit month. If you supply only one parameter, it will be treated as millisecond. Do not forget that when we talked about the 9 ways through which you can create date object, you will realize that we started adding those numbers and then start decreasing them until we get to when you are able to add a millisecond. So if you passed in just a number this way, without supplying a month as part of the parameter, this will be treated as a millisecond. And not only will it be treated as a millisecond, so you can see that it has also changed the date back to the previous century. You are now seeing January 1, 1917. So whatever you passed in here, if I change this from 2018 to 2000 or 20,000, this will definitely be treated as a milliseconds once the month parameter is missing. So these are some of the things that are very important when working with date object that you should take note of, so that you will not be surprised by the output that you get. So for a quick recap, when you supply a month higher than 11, it will not result in an error, but it will add overflow to the next year. When you specify a day higher than max, it will not result in an error, but it will add the overflow to the next month as well. So this is where we are going to end this lesson. Thank you for your time. I'll see you in the next one.